I think both Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys are better off without each other, which is why after the 2024 season, I think they should go their separate ways. Dak go to a new team, Cowboys get a new quarterback. As more reports kind of circle now about is Dak going to get an extension? Is he not? It seems like the Cowboys right now at least are comfortable in not sort of extending their franchise quarterback. If you really look at it going forward, both I think are better off without the other after 2024. Like for me, their situation is so reminiscent of the situation that Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn found themselves in the tremendous movie, The Breakup. Like if you haven't seen that movie, I'll explain it to you really fast here. Basically, they were together, kind of realized they didn't really fulfill each other's needs, and realized they were better off apart. And that to me is what I'm seeing right now with the Cowboys and Dak. At this point, I think they're better off apart. I mean, if you're the Cowboys, look at this, right? They need a quarterback that can win them playoff games, right? Like 12 wins in the regular season doesn't cut it. It's about what you do in the postseason. And Dak has showed you he is not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. He's just not a very good postseason quarterback. Now, he's a great regular season quarterback, but when you need your quarterback to step up, elevate his game into big-time playoff games, Dak has routinely flopped. And so it's been 8 years. I don't think year 9 or year 10 is going to be any different at this point. Dak is who he is. So if you're Dallas and your goal is to truly win a Super Bowl, not be relevant, not just make the playoffs, but win a Super Bowl, you can't do that with Dak. You got to find a new guy. Because I think the worst thing the Cowboys or any team can really do, for that matter, in the NFL, is pay a good quarterback great quarterback money. And if you want to keep Dak right now in Dallas through some sort of extension, whether it's this year or next year, you're going to have to pay Dak in order to keep him great quarterback money. I don't think at this point, if you're the Cowboys, that's worth it. I don't. This is a guy who's not going to get you over the hump, and you are continuously going to, I think, be bounced in the first or second round of the playoffs every single year, no matter who you play, because Dak is not a playoff quarterback you can rely on. So at this point, I don't see why the Cowboys would spin their wheels any longer. You have an out. Let Dak walk after 2024 and start to find your guy that can elevate the team more than Dak could. And that's also, on a quick side note here, if I'm the Cowboys, I look at this upcoming draft, 2 names I really like for Dallas, if they should be aggressive, especially if they have an eye on moving on from Dak. Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr. I would try my hardest. I would pray they fall in the second round. I would try, though, my hardest to get one of those 2 on my roster now this year. Have them on the roster, sit behind Dak for a year, and then in 2025, have them be the guy to hopefully lead Dallas further than Prescott could these last 8 years, and really any Dallas quarterback has done since the 90s. You know, it's been a long, long time for Dallas in terms of just seeing the NFC title game, let alone the Super Bowl. But that's what I would do from Dallas. Like, that makes the most sense for them. You got your final year of Dak. I mean, he's not going to get you any further in the postseason this year than in years past. So it's going to be another 11, 12-win regular season, followed by an early exit in the postseason. And once that happens, say, okay, Dak, thank you for your service. Appreciate the time. See you later. And usher in the future Nix, Penix, ain't Lance. That's for damn sure. That would be my goal, my idea if I'm the Cowboys. Start to think ahead and have a succession plan now, this year's draft, instead of scrambling next year. And on the flip side, so that's why I think, just to wrap up, that's why I think if you're Dallas, like, you're better off without Dak going forward. Don't pay a good quarterback great quarterback money, and try to find a guy that can elevate your team in the playoffs the way your quarterback has been unable to do so far in the last 8 years. On the flip side, if you're Dak, like, I would use the direct comparison of Jennifer Aniston. Right? Jennifer Aniston in The Breakup was very frustrated with Vince Vaughn's character and was like, had the famous quote, "You couldn't do this one thing for me," and was very upset when he's playing video games and refused to help clean up dinner. Guys who have been there before, right? So if you're Dak, just like Jennifer Aniston, I think Dak has a right to feel underappreciated by the Cowboys. Like, they've done, trust me, they've done a lot of good for him. His stock, his star, his Q rating, his persona has all been raised by the fact that he's a Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback. But I think the reality is, too, is that the Cowboys have made Dak's life very difficult. And they have made a good quarterback's life more difficult than any other team would. Like just look at the last few years. I mean, every single contract negotiation when it comes to that time of the year with Dak feels like it's teeth pulling. I know Jerry paid him once and made him a very rich man. But just getting there felt like it was just like, Jerry, do you really sure you like Dak? I mean, making him play 1 year on the franchise tag, always going back and forth. Even now this year as well, going into the last year of his deal with, again, a massive cap hit. We're talking about the contract every single day. Like, nothing's changing. It feels like there's always some sort of cloud hanging over Dak. And it feels like, well, yes, the Cowboys have paid him a lot of money. It also feels like at the same time, Jerry's kind of kept Dak at arm's length a little bit and never fully embraced him. So if you're Dak, I think at this point, you want to go to a team that will embrace you, that will be happy to pay you a whole lot of money and be happy that you are their starting quarterback. I think that's what Dak wants, and honestly, I think that's what he deserves. A stress-free quarterback lifestyle, stress-free meaning off the field. And off the field meaning not having your owner causing headlines every damn day. Because if it's not the contract, right, and those discussions that have come up every few years, it's the fact that he does other things like trade for Trey Lance last year. Was Trey Lance ever going to usurp Dak as a starter? No. But what it did do is cause more headlines, cause more talks, have Dak have to answer questions now about Trey Lance. It just was another distraction that a lot of other quarterbacks don't have to deal with. I mean, hell, Jerry talks in season every damn day. Guys, a press conference. His press conference after the game is the biggest press conference of the day. He has more media there than Dak does at his press conference, than Mike McCarthy does at his press conference. Jerry is the show. Imagine if your boss, every day you came out of work, was answering questions publicly about your performance every day. That wears on you. That's frustrating. That causes, again, a lot of distractions thrown your way that you have to try to block out and overcome just to do your job. It's hard enough, right? We've seen Dak in big games. It's hard enough for him to play well in these big games. It's even more difficult when you got to answer for your owner every day and you have your owner kind of leaving you out to dry at times, leaving your head coach out there to dry at times, saying all these cockamamie things that make no sense, that put more pressure on the Cowboys of we're all in. Actually, no, this year we have to win with less. Like, the guy doesn't make sense, but he talks. Oh, does he talk? And does he speak his mind? If I'm Dak, I've had enough. I've had enough of the drama. I've had enough of the BS. I would rather go to a team, whether it's Minnesota if they don't draft a quarterback, you name it. There's going to be plenty of interest for Dak Prescott if he's a free agent next year. I promise you that. There'll be plenty of teams that want him, that are willing to pay him, and are not going to bring the headaches that Jerry Jones and playing for the Dallas Cowboys bring. And I think Dak at this point needs that, should want that, should want to get away from the circus that is the Dallas Cowboys. So that's why I keep coming back to this analogy of the breakup with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn when it comes to the Cowboys and Dak. I think it makes the most sense. I think both sides are better off apart. So play 2024. Probably, again, have 12 wins and a first-round exit in the playoffs. And then if you're Dallas, start to now think about your future of getting a guy like win your playoff games. And if you're Dak, try to find yourself a team that will love and embrace you the way really Dallas has fully failed to do. I think both are at this point now, even though it was a successful run. I mean, again, 8 years there, Dak was in Dallas. He made the playoffs 5 times. They've been one of the best regular season teams. So it's not a total failure, this experiment, this tenure for Dak in Dallas. But I think at this point, if you're Dak, and we'll call him Vince Vaughn, or no, we'll call him Jennifer Aniston. Keep the analogy similar there. So if you are Dak Prescott who's Jennifer Aniston, if you're the Dallas Cowboys who's Vince Vaughn, you both got to realize, man, you got to wake up and realize, yeah, we've had some good times. But then going forward, for both of us to grow and be happy and be our best selves, we're better off apart.